seriously discuss the respectful attitude of the country. The author really wants to convince and gain the reader's trust. So let's see how Vidas Pink, born in 1872 and born in 1953, recounted those experiences. When he was especially interested in recounting the magical powers of the great Oriental masters, touching the sick, the healthy, the dying, not dying anymore, touching the poor and ragged, their clothes became with new clothes, the author happily shook hands with a few magical teachers. Often traveling through space from one place to another, paying hundreds of miles in just the blink of an eye, the author even witnessed with his own eyes the wisdom of several great masters. For the author, meeting both Jesus and the beast sounds interesting to the priest. He lectured directly. Some of the great masters of the previous year's experience also traveled through time and returned to teach with the author as with his contemporaries since the beginning of the upcoming colonization of the East in the West. Curious about the mysterious and strange East. Forming a magical belief, the Orient has been a mystery for many centuries. Orientalism has become a button. Anything brought from the East to Europe is considered a strange specialty, so popular that later on, someone, even if you are an Orientalist, you can give the impression that you are a non-literate person who seems to be profiting by Oriental mysticism. I discovered in and a few other Futrong real estate agents also belong to the group of authors who are active in writing. Although they earned their reputation through their books The Miracles of the East. A hasty attitude, but affirming that she passed by. Eyes saw and ears heard like Bettis Morning. Sometimes it was equally hasty. Bettis Loading had a journey from west to east going in the opposite direction. With him are the books of those who east after the green period with the west. This type of book blooms jubilantly, but it is durable, European and American. Overcoming this plan, hung thin, that democracy, but it is because of promise. America is not broken but built with blocks of gold in passion. A strange new country often makes people dizzy and crazy, exaggerating its magic. Yes. That is a way of understanding that can be shared. Waiting for the day when awareness matures and cools down, or like swapping places from west to east and from east to west when Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was born in 1917 and was born in 1984. Called bartering, the monk does not sell goods for money, but goods chase goods.
Sun Tzu and the Art of War.
This trade method from the time before money was invented is still used in some special commercial relationships in the years. 1981, the outstanding woman of seal keeping gave a speech at the General School of Drops. Cotton in Paris has many Westerners who hate it. Consumer society has not been far from the East to find the main spiritual light at a time when young people in Eastern countries are approaching the West due to being blinded by the direct color. Here is a barter-style trade. This search for true life has become an industry. Hung is a usable commodity. People need to look inward through the process of practical self-discipline. In India, we call it Pas Yoga. It's basically a discipline that is the mastery of the mind, body and soul. Yes, I still have a story that seems to be a joke or a metaphor for the beginning of colonialism. A lady I invited. Some friends came to the house to enjoy Indian tea. Her son had a difficult pregnancy in that mysterious tropical land and just sent home an unfamiliar specialty dried pork patty with pineapple to eat on the table and put it in the kettle. Carefully pour out the water to keep the animals alive, give each friend 1 spoon. The inviter respects it and the person eating also respects it. Mrs. Tra was a bit shy. One woman praised the strange fragrance. Another woman said that it was a bit difficult for her to swallow. Or the comment had just finished an enjoyment. Yes, that strange thing brought back from the East was almost used to kill her. The latter function is also used in many other cases when reality has been created and fictionalized but is guaranteed to be true for nearly 100 years when Journey to the East was first published in Vietnam. There is a new full translation of the mysterious fog that covers Dong Dong with many music files. The East is no longer fashionable, although there are still many Westerners who come to learn yoga to enjoy the tropical flavor of the world to convert nearly 100 years later. Readers today have favorable conditions. Is to read this book in a calm and thoughtful environment, not to read it in a way that reveals the psychology of Westerners who were once drunk and guessed in advance of the East. Writer Ho and Tai Guides Japan. Betty Pudding's name has become legendary in metaphysical and theoretical circles. Earn Money Truth Help. Early in the 20th century he played an important role in introducing to the Western world the suffering of the masters and elders who became professionals and guided the It is the fate of humanity that last year countless people around the world sent letters to attest to the great help they received from the messages in this work, a set of books consisting of 6/9 original works including 6 small booklets. Part 1 introduces the chapter Monk Amino visits the Temple of Silence. Clones walk on water to visit Pleasure Pavilion to cure Edmund talking about Germany. American Snowman in the Mountains when Malaysia New Light Husband Teachings of Jesus Part 2 Deep Golden True Pride Great Trip with Jesus Lord Jesus discusses the nature of hell, the nature of God, the mystery of living. Thinking Jesus gives food to the crowd. Descriptions of an experience in the cold. Jesus and Buddha visit the expedition 3. One of the Golden Masters spoke about Douglas's awareness of the nature of cosmic energy. Creation of planets and worlds. Trip to NASA. Visit Golden Forests. Angle the mysteries of the celestial body. There is a skeptic convinced of the existence of Jesus still. For originally this thing was called Lessons on the Journey from India. At noon there is a research topic with instructions for lecturers to develop and document a few key topics such as NATAM Masters Foundations of Social Reform. Zara in Part 5. This part collects lectures by Professor Spalding in California in During 200 End of Heaven. There is also a summary of the biography of the true grandfather, which is an image of events that overlap in the past. There is a God in whom the divine pattern of reality masters death and the law of response. About the 68th article by Professor Spalding in question and answer format taken from the magazine when it was 1935 to 1937. A special section includes rare photos of spa author Din Don's expedition to India to rest on board the ship. The scenery of Qatar along with letters from the journey and interesting events. Author's Note 7. Author's manuscript Morning includes the origin of God's prayer, divine mastery, eternal youth beyond the limits of face. This Buddha's thought also includes words of praise and memories of friends about the author. Yes, the publisher's note is in music, anything, maybe the fake Spalding who danced on The Voice and the people who knew Mr. Spalding so well all passed away in the 1950s. Mr. Smalling's companion was also no longer talented, so we could not approach anyone. Clearly understand the relevant details, so the content of this book is the only source of information that we currently know of. There are no other documents or maps about the cart trip that we have tried to save. Searched for additional notes or photo data but failed. We sincerely ask for forgiveness for not having more digging information to serve our readers at the producers of The Voice. Part 1 Listen to the preface, music. After introducing the work Journey to the East White Sands of the Master of the Fox, I want to say that I am one of 11 members of the research team who went to the Far East in 1894 for 3 years there. I met the great masters of the Himalayas who provided us with documents, one of the most important supports for our research. They allowed us to learn thoroughly about their own lives and so we can understand how dogs work. The true action of the great laws. They were warriors, we call them masters. It is agreed that on our field above them those whose lives are as described below are worthy of respect. The documents and handwritten manuscripts of our practical tests with these monks were kept carefully among the monks. At that time, I personally thought the world was not ready. I welcome this message as an independent member of the research team and I am currently publishing it. His notes in the book titled Journey to the East with the idea that readers can accept or reject this part at will, followed by other sequels that will tell about the experiences in this book. The first year the expedition came to the Zen masters, the book containing the teachings. We signed with the permission and approval of the laymen and elders the acknowledgement that the Buddha showed the path to enlightenment. Bright as a flower, declaring a way for him to block the bridge is enlightenment in a word. Another is a state of awareness in which we are all looking for the light that comes to Chris of every Japanese fish in the same way that it is also the light of every child who is asked by his father-in-law when down here Betis body number account the second he have a strange reaction. Refers to the spiritual issues that have been believed in the Father in recent times and also has an awakening that still desires to seek the truth about the great masters in the world to come. So I feel I need to introduce to you my experiences with the masters of the Far East. In this book, I do not attempt to present a new religion or belief, I simply recount our experiences with the true masters to demonstrate the fundamental truths of their teachings. This monk lives across a large area, so our metaphysical research team also covers a vast geographical area including India, Tibet, China, and Persia, their current nutrients. I didn't need any effort to confirm that the 11 of us were specially trained. Distinctive and scientifically rigorous, most of our lives are spent in research. We will not accept anything unless it has been verified. And we will never have a something was so deadly. We were so extremely skeptical then, so completely convinced that 3 of us were determined to go back and stay there until they could practice the sad dharma and living a life like the elders that lived at that time. Surely thanks for waiting, it helped a lot for me. We are on this journey. Please do not reveal their identities when publishing expedition registration. I will not tell anything except the facts as I have told them. I will try to be as accurate as possible. The words and expressions of the people I met and interacted with on a daily basis during the journey. One of the preconditions agreed upon before proceeding was that we must accept what we witnessed is true and does not require any explanation whatsoever. Once we get into the work of receiving life lessons and observing their daily lives, we can follow these masters, live as they do, and decide for ourselves how long we stay with them. Any question is allowed to use all inferences to draw conclusions and finally to be free to accept what we see as the truth. Is it difficult for you to try to influence our judgments? In whatever form they want us to be completely convinced before believing whatever we see and hear. Therefore, I will narrate those events and it is up to each reader to accept or reject them when they meet the so-called true master found inside this work. I was in India for about 2 years doing regular research every day until I was jogging on a crowded street and I was attracted by a crowd and the crowd was attracted by one of the street wizards, or ascetics, so popular in this country. As I stood there I realized that next to me was an older man who was not classy with the people around him as he helped me and asked me how long I had been in India. I answered about 25 when he asked me again if I sent you. Well, I replied, I'm an American, because I was very surprised and excited to see an English speaker here. I asked him what he thought the war was going on. He replied, oh, that's a common scene in India. This person is called the ascetic monk and the hypnotist. These names all have limited meanings but are hidden deep beneath the names. This title has a deep spiritual meaning that only humans can realize, and one day it will bring good service. The performance is just a shadow of the spoken word. It depends on the tea tree. Comment, but the people who commented on it never seemed to understand the true meaning behind the facade. Well, then we broke up and only saw each other occasionally during the 4 months that followed the expedition. We now have to face a problem before quitting. While I was worried, I was tired right away, and he got better. Did I have something to worry about? And then he started talking about the problem we were having. I was surprised by this because I thought no one in our episode had revealed it. This problem is probably beyond the battery's understanding of this situation, which makes me feel like he already knows the whole flashlight issue. He has a certain insight into this and he is willing to help. We stayed within 12 days, after which the problem was resolved and we were no longer worried despite our surprise. The work on the tank has kept us going through the heart, as it has become a habit that when problems arise I consult with you. As soon as I discuss these troubles with you, they immediately disappear. My companions met and talked with him, but I only told them a little about him. At this time I read some books about Hinduism which I chose for me, and I was completely convinced that he was one of Uncle Ho's superiors, because my curiosity was piqued and I was more and more drawn each day. One Sunday afternoon, when my sister and I were walking in the fields, he told me to pay attention to a pigeon flying overhead and calmly said that this pigeon was looking for him to stay still and quiet. There was a dove that landed on his solemn arm so that the regent would tell one of his northern brothers to send a letter asking for a silver dove. This showed that the brother had not yet attained Dak to be able to communicate with him. That's why we had to use this method. Later, we discovered that our ancestors were not able to say hello again. Each other immediately by real telepathy, a power much more subtle than electronics and wireless networks. And then I started asking questions and he showed me that he could call the birds came to him and controlled their flight in the air. He could make the flowers and trees nod to him. He could call like the royal beast to come to him without fear. He separated the two. Chungdang's dogs bit each other as they fought over a smaller prey that they killed when he approached. They bit and fell into his open hands with complete trust. Then they resumed their meal in silence, and he even placed a small flower in my hand. It was stormy. Tangible silver, but you see that it is impossible to do this job more deeply and more realistically than when you still call God off and let Ngu give me the power to do these things through me. I can do anything with my fixed, tangible self and music only if I give up completely. All the outside, let the invisible storm really speak and act so that God's great love can flourish. Only then can I do the fake things I saw when you let God's great love grow. Flowing through yourself to all beings, no fear and no account can happen to you anymore during this time. Every day I have the teachings with you in silence. Suddenly appeared in my room even after I had locked the front door carefully before going to bed. His presence confused me, but I soon realized that I had understood the cause of the sheep-faced man, so I became accustomed to these appearances of Amino and to knock on the door where I could come and go at will. This belief was so blazing that it hurt Locke, as I did not fully understand all your teachings nor fully accept them, as well as many other things I saw in the East at that time. It took after many years of thoughtful meditation. I was able to realize the profound spiritual meaning in the lives of these people. This true master, they complete all the piles without showing off and do it with a carefree mind. As children, they know the power of love will protect them, and they nurture it until everything is okay. Love and help them in the year with the light seed of people killed by poisonous whites and animals in the middle of the world. However, most of this car carries within them the energy of love so overflowing that poisonous snakes and ferocious animals otherwise, if they don't desecrate them, they will sometimes turn on Kim Xian, who lives in the Tranthene area, and the country will be toxic. Sometimes they will be bold, exposing themselves in front of a village to protect it from the attack of wild animals, and neither the village nor the cot is present in times of emergency. They walk on water, walk through fire, or travel in the invisible, and do many things. Another thing that we are accustomed to calling the miracles of those who possess supernatural powers is that there is a remarkable similarity between the life and teachings of Jesus of Nazareth and the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. These golden spring levels manifest in their daily lives when people keep that person unable to receive items, date beads directly from the universe, unable to overcome death and perform what are said to be miracles that Jesus performed while on earth. The higher beings prove that this is their daily activities. Everything necessary for their daily needs is provided directly from the universe. Combined with food, clothes, and money, they have overcome death, and many of them are living over 500 years old. Has this been clearly proven in their documents? They are such superiors in India. Other sects seem to be only small branches of their teachings in the visible world of earth. They are only a small number and accessible only to scholars. They are yet in the invisible realm. They can reach an infinite number, and it seems that their most important work in life is to reach the invisible realm and help all those who are ready to grasp the teachings of admin's teachings were the foundation for the work we continued several years later with our third expedition. Coming to lands like this, my husband spent 3.5 years living with the monks. We accompanied them and observed their daily lives and activities in the Far East. Yeah, you just heard. Finish first one of the book to listen to the rest. You can buy the audiobook directly or buy a gold book card when registering for Ford's premium membership package for free, saving up to 60% of the cost compared to buying online. Pond's premium membership package also gives you access to all other exciting exclusive content, like summaries of 5 present storybooks and more. Yeah.